Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're uncorking the global alcoholic beverage industry. We're going to look at what it actually takes to get that bottle onto the shelf. And trust me, the story is so much bigger than what's printed on the label.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Beyond the price tag at the store, what hidden global risks are swirling around in your glass? We often think about the craft, the aging process, or the clever branding. But the true cost of our favorite drinks involves massive global supply chains that are honestly incredibly vulnerable to disruption. Section 1. Beyond the glass. Hidden supply chains.
To answer the question of true cost, we really have to peel back the onion and look way beyond the finished, branded bottles sitting on your table. We need to look at the dirt, the water, and the people that make it all possible. To do this, we're using the SASB Alcoholic Beverages Standard. This is a crucial framework companies use to see exactly how they're required to track the invisible environmental and social costs of their ingredients. It kind of acts like an X-ray, showing us how the biggest beverage entities identify their risks and manage the massive footprint of their operations.
An everyday drink might seem simple, right? A little sugar, some barley, maybe corn or grapes. But securing those agricultural inputs involves a highly complex, globally dispersed supply chain. And this web is constantly under threat from shifting climates and serious social challenges.
Section 2. Identifying priority ingredients.
Well, because companies literally cannot manage everything, everywhere, all at once, they tackle this massive web by identifying their priority ingredients. They don't just track everything equally. According to the standard, a priority beverage ingredient is one that either constitutes their largest expense or carries a significant threat to the environment and society. Basically, if an ingredient represents a huge chunk of their budget, or if harvesting it risks severe environmental degradation, it goes straight to the top of the priority list. And this brilliantly illustrates where the tracking actually starts, right at the farm level with Tier 1 suppliers. These are the partners who provide these critical crops directly to the beverage companies. By focusing on Tier 1, companies can draw a direct line between their corporate checkbook and the agricultural reality on the ground.
Section 3. Environmental supply chain threats.
Now, once you know who your suppliers are, you have to look at what they're facing. It's a critical question for beverage companies because their agricultural inputs are fundamentally at the mercy of the environment. If a key region providing barley or sugar suddenly faces a multi-year drought, the entire supply chain chokes. Companies must manage severe exposure to a whole range of environmental threats. We're talking about unpredictable climate shifts, literally destroying crop yields, crippling water scarcity, sudden land management restrictions, and the heavy reputational damage linked to deforestation. Just imagine a brand's priority ingredient being traced back to a freshly bulldozed rainforest. The consumer backlash from that can be absolutely devastating. So to measure this vulnerability, especially regarding water, companies must report the exact percentage of ingredients purchased from suppliers located in water-stressed regions. And they actually calculate this based on cost, which really anchors the environmental risk directly to their financial bottom line. They define this stress using the World Resources Institute's aqueduct tool, tracking areas where baseline water stress hits critical levels. High stress means 40 to 80% of the available water is being withdrawn, and extremely high means over 80% is being used. If a major portion of a company's ingredients comes from that red zone, they're standing on incredibly thin ice.
Section 4. Auditing social and labor risks.
But hey, it's not just about the planet. An ingredient might be grown with plenty of water, but if the labor conditions are toxic, the risk to the company is just as high. Companies audit their suppliers' responsibility practices, and to keep things crystal clear, they categorize violations strictly into major and minor nonconformances. This totally prevents companies from sweeping big issues under the rug by blending them in with small administrative errors. Major nonconformances? Those are severe. They require immediate auditor escalation. We are talking about deeply concerning labor rights issues here. The presence of underage child workers, forced labor, conditions that present an immediate danger to life, or practices causing severe immediate harm to the local community. These are systemic, critical breaches of the law and of human decency. On the flip side, minor nonconformances are typically isolated or random incidents. Now, while they definitely still need to be addressed, they present minimal systemic risk to workers or the environment, and they don't necessarily indicate a complete failure of the supplier's management system. And here is where the accountability really kicks in. Companies must report their corrective action rates.
They have to prove they have entirely eliminated the root cause of a major issue within 90 days. For minor issues, the timeline is 60 days. It is not just about finding the problems, it's about proving, on a strict timeline, that you actually fix them.
Section 5. Strategies for sourcing resilience. So how do companies fix all this and protect themselves? Well, the motivation is simple but absolute. If a company can't find alternatives for key suppliers when a crisis hits, they face massive price fluctuations, potential regulatory fines, and a direct, immediate hit to their market share. Sourcing resilience isn't just some nice PR term, it's core business survival.
To mitigate those environmental risks we talked about earlier, companies proactively diversify their supplier base globally, so a flood in one country doesn't halt production everywhere. They also conduct extensive training on environmental management for their farmers and heavily fund research and development for alternative, hardier substitute crops that require less water. For social risks, they enforce strict, non-negotiable codes of conduct. They directly train farm workers on the safe application of agrochemicals to protect worker health, and they actively engage suppliers on human rights protections, making sure the people harvesting the ingredients are treated fairly and safely. The global corporate effort required to protect both the planet and the people who make your favorite drink possible is immense. It's a really delicate balance of managing water stress, defending labor rights, and securing priority ingredients across a turbulent globe. Next time you take a sip, will you think about the massive, invisible supply chain behind the glass? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what goes into the things we consume every single day.